we need to start creating more than we consume. And what I mean by that is just, I'm not saying create. We need more reels. We need more TikToks. We need more YouTube videos. I mean, just as people, we're creative creatures. I think everyone should just have some sort of creative outlet, you know? Because ever since short form content and more recently I feel like everyone's personality is kind of reflecting their For You page instead of, who they actually are. So and I think that's definitely because of the lack of creating. So obviously everyone struggles with the occasional doom scroll, or maybe not occasional, maybe every day, but multiple times a day they get stuck in a fat doom scroll loop. You know, I feel like I've gotten a little better at controlling it. I mean, I don't know if you can even control it. I think it's just about doing stuff that, stimulates you in the morning, I guess, to not get caught in that cycle. But I think it's more important than ever to create stuff, or it might actually become taken over by AI. Like, genuinely, um, if we can't even make art or make music, because what if slowly, what if the AI's plan, let's say AGI's plan is to, wipe out civilization, humans, like one unique point, which is creation and art, like creativity and art, you know? What AI is going to go to a museum and stare at paintings all day? Only humans do that. I hate that, but I don't like it at all, but maybe I'll get into it one day. Um, what I've been doing recently is just, I used to draw a lot, just random drawings, sketches, doodles, and stuff. I do that. I've started that again recently, and it's just been a way to calm down, just reflect, just draw whatever I'm thinking, and I think it's helping. And you know, journaling as well. I've recently started journaling as well. Just writing my thoughts down, kind of like this. This is my second journal actually. I have a paper journal and my YouTube channel, which is a journal. So to demonstrate why creation is so important, I created a slideshow. And when is the last time you created a Google slideshow, Google Slides, except for a school project? Never. I've never done this. You've probably never done this. So this is my slideshow on why you should create more. Okay. By Forever Hodler. So let me move this. Humans are creative creatures by nature. You know, we stare at art for hours. We have very complex brains that we think about so many different ideas in a day, like thousands and thousands and thousands. So we naturally gravitate towards doing creative things like creating art or, humming a song. That's, yeah. So, first example is Kanye West. He created a massive shift in the music industry. So, in the early 2000s, late 90s and early 2000s, the music scene was mostly just gangster rap. The trends were just gangster rap, Tupac, Biggie, I'm a big rider, you know, all that stuff. But Kanye, he had a different plan. He only created for himself. And what that means is he didn't create music to appeal to the audience. He created music to appeal to himself. And in doing that, of course, I'm not saying creating an album just for yourself and making it go that crazy big is, it's very impressive. It's not easy at all. Obviously, I mean I wouldn't even know, honestly. Why am I even saying that? But he created an album that completely went against what society was telling him to do at the time, which was create gangster rap. And like he made some incredible lyrics. If I know you've heard of the college, you've heard College Dropout. If you haven't, just go listen to it. It's, yeah. I don't really need an explanation there. So he only created for himself, and that's mainly the reason that got him the success. You know, he was unapologetic. He was authentic. He was himself. And he just put it out in the world, and people loved it. Because people will hate on everything you do, but they can also, there's a lot of, people can hate, but people can also love. But if you're in that middle ground where like they kind of like you, but like not really, they just, you just alright in the music. Unless if for music, for example, you know, me personally, I'd rather be loved than liked. You know, be known or even hated. If you're hated, you know, you're still kind of popping. You know, people are still talking about you. But yeah, so creating doesn't have to be just for other people. Creating is mostly should be for yourself. So you can satisfy yourself, you can inspire yourself and have no regrets, you know? And then example 2, Vincent van Gogh. Okay, he was an artist from the late 19th century. He he was in poverty throughout his whole life. You know, his art never took off until later. Obviously, you see the Starry Night on the right. That didn't take off way after his death, until way after his death, which was speculated to be suicide. But that's besides the point. He created art only for himself, yeah, just like Kanye West. Obviously, Kanye did receive the success, the external success, during his life. He still is. But Vincent, he never got any of that external success. He was only doing it for himself, or to maybe one day he wanted people to realize. But his whole life, he created art. No recognition. No one cared. So, and he got success later in life. What that is saying is, you know, people will see your perspective, you know, your vision. And it doesn't have to be now. It doesn't have to be later. It doesn't have to be ever. No one needs to see. You don't have to show people your art. But the action of expressing yourself, you know, without anyone else interfering, with, you know, whatever you're doing, no one cares anyway. You know, the act of just expressing yourself and, you know, creating relentlessly without any regrets, you know, I feel like you leave something more valuable to the world than making stuff for other people. Like the Starry Night. Look at the Starry Night, man. It's an absolute masterpiece. But no one knew. No one knew until later on. You know? Even and the painting where he cut his ear off. I actually saw this painting. I think it was in France. I think, yeah. I had no idea back then. Like, what are the odds? I'm using it right now as in a slideshow. I'm using it as yeah. So creating for yourself, that's what it feels like to create for yourself. It's actually very inspiring. I was drawing the other day. I was just, page after page, I was just drawing random stuff. Variants of SpongeBob. Some Pokemon, Slugterra. I was just drawing like my own spin to all these characters. And this is literally what it feels like. You're on flames. Your paper's on flames. I felt so. All I can say is I just felt good about myself. Just creating something. Even these videos, when I just make these videos, probably for now, maybe no one's gonna watch this when I first upload my videos. Probably no one's gonna watch this for a while, but I don't really care. This is what it feels like to create for yourself. I go to bed happy if I created something that day. I kind of forgot why I added the social media part, but to improvise, even just making a video but just keeping it private, I think that's a very good idea. Because talking to a camera it kind of feels like you're just talking to yourself. It doesn't feel like I'm talking to anyone right now. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm talking to you guys. Whoever's watching, it does not feel like I'm talking. It just feels like I'm just having a chat with myself. It just lets you, solidify your thoughts, solidify, whatever you're thinking about. Just like journaling. It's just like journaling, literally. Like I said, I don't think you need to be posting on social media. Everyone's saying the narrative nowadays is, oh, you have to post on social media. You have to post on social media. And I don't disagree with that. But I don't think it's for everyone. I don't know if it's even for me, to be honest. I'm just trying it out. But, it doesn't have to be an Instagram reel. It can just be a little sketch you do in class because you're so bored. That's creating something. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Good night.